The 661st edition of the MMA Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Sign up with promo code MMA SGPN to claim up to $1,000 in bonus cash. And we're also brought to you by RIZIN. Get your 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM.
Howdy ho, degenerinos. Welcome to episode 661 of the MMA Gambling Podcast and the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. Going out to Donnie, one of our new friends in the Discord, who's been quite active in there. Welcome, Donnie. Welcome to all of you for that are checking in on this episode. Thank you if you have subscribed to us on YouTube. We hit the 1,000 subscriber mark, so I won't bug you about subscribing anymore, but you know what you're supposed to do if you haven't already. Who am I? I'm Jeff Taco Fox, and thank you for coming to our RIZIN episode, RIZIN 48. Rare. We haven't covered RIZIN since New Year's Eve episode, which was RIZIN 45. They haven't run too many events though since then, really. We're only up to 48 right now, but this is a solid event, and we are covering it for you today. We, not the royal we, I have someone with me. If you're on YouTube, you see I have someone with me. It would be the one and only Daniel Vreeland. Tell us about RIZIN 48.
Fun little card. 2 title fights. One fight that should probably include a title, although I don't think they have the division, which makes it harder to put a title on the line when they do that. Yeah. My pound for, I can't say pound for pound and then use division is the thing. One of the best fighters in a division is fighting on this card. The very best atomweight in the world is fighting this night, and we're going to get to see her fight, which is super exciting. And then a whole bunch of other fighters who, including 2, I had been so high on once upon a time in my life. And now I'm seeing them on a RIZIN card years later, which is kind of a bummer. But here it is. It's actually, I'll say, like probably one of the best RIZIN cards I've seen in recent memory.
Yep. Very good card. And I'm sure people will lap it up. I think we've been asked to do RIZIN before. People want us to cover everything though. So 5 episodes a week is still not enough for you people, but that's okay. That's good. We
appreciate that. And I also want to do, I know you already dedicated the episode to him. I want to give a shout out to Donnie because he integrated himself so fluidly into our Discord. I did not realize he was a new person for a solid 2 days. And then I was like, do I know who this is? And I clicked it and it says he's been in the Discord for 2 days. And I was like, oh, good for you, dude.
Yes, that's the key. Must be a narc. He's a narc. Totally. He's going to bust us. Yeah. He came in and the disruptors from UFC 308 have not returned. So that obviously was a big event because we got some quote unquote casuals. Yeah. Some newbies. Not 308. It was 309? 306, right? I'm ahead of myself. 308 is coming up. So 306.
307 is coming up. That comes in between the two. Yeah.
Is that how it works? 306, 306. Oh, yeah, you're right. That's how math works. All right. Before we jump into this RIZIN episode, let me tell you that the war against corporate gambling is heating up. If you haven't noticed already, look out your window. And SGPN needs you to do your part. If you take a couple seconds to rate and review our show, the MMA Gambling Podcast, that will help us out greatly. Plus, most importantly, tell a friend. Word of mouth is the heartbeat of our program and of the whole network, SGPN. So thank you in advance for doing that. All right, let's get into this here card here that Gumby is excited about. RIZIN 48 going down in Saitama, Japan on, it's a Sunday. Well, it's Sunday their time. Well, it's technically Sunday on the East Coast, 1 a.m. So basically late Saturday night after the UFC. Keep watching. 1 a.m. start time. Early Sunday morning for RIZIN 48. Going down in the Saitama Super Arena in a ring, 5 fights. We are covering basically half of them in full, and then Gumby will give you his bonus picks at the end of the show in the lightning round. We're kicking things off with, let me scroll down. Here we go. It is their weight classes are a little different. We'll say flyweight, 126 pounds. So basically a flyweight fight. Joe Arai from Japan. Nkazimulo Zulu from South Africa, 3 5-minute rounds. No odds yet for this, but RIZIN odds are fairly widespread, right? I've seen them all around, so
they're usually easy enough to get. Yeah.
Yep. All right, Zulu. Zulu Boy is a nickname. 15-6-1, 6 knockouts, 7 submissions. He's been knocked out once. Very durable man. This is his debut in RIZIN. He's won 2 straight, and he's gone 2-2-1 over his last 5. Not as impressive. Past 2 wins have come via submission. He's got multiple regional championships on his
mantle.
Correct. Get the shirt. sportsgamblingpockets.com/store. I'm going to get tired of saying that real soon this episode. There's lots coming up. Used to fight at bantamweight, 2013 pro MMA debut, 2 inches height over Arai. Arai is 16-11-2 with 11 knockouts, 1 submission. He's been knocked out 3 times, submitted 8 times. He's been finished in all his losses by my math. 0-1 in RIZIN, 11-1 over his last 12. Got TKO'd in his last fight, though. He has multiple regional championships on his
mantle.
Correct. Get the shirt. sportsgamblingpockets.com/store. Get sticky with it. Used to fight down at atomweight or strawweight, excuse me. 2014 pro MMA debut, 9 years younger than Zulu.
So I think Zulu is going to be a slight favorite here just because he's got the ultimate fighter shine on him. Do you know who mad props if you know who he got beat by on
he was in Tough?
On Tough, yeah.
Really?
Yep. Zulu was on Tough and
the flyweight.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Yeah.
Who do you lose to?
Hint, it was a finalist.
Tim Elliott. I was just going to say. Tim Elliott?
Nope, no. The guy who lost the finals to Tim Elliott.
I can't remember who that was.
Hiromasa Okikobu.
Oh, yeah. I remember that fun name.
Who's now in RIZIN, weirdly. Right. So we can get
So he was 0-1 on Zulu? In Zulu?
Yeah.
In Tough?
Yeah. In Zulu, yes.
In Zulu?
And he's also Zulu. And also the EFC champion, although I'm pretty sure he lost that to White Kong, Jake Hadley. When Jake Hadley went down to EFC, weirdly. And so, like, Zulu being an EFC champ, having a fight with Jake Hadley, being on the Ultimate Fighter, I think he's got to be a slight favorite. His results recently wouldn't make him a big favorite, I don't think. So probably like -145 is my guess. I'm going to take Zulu here because I've watched Arai's most recent fight. I really like his pressure in terms of his footwork. Like, when he comes forward, the footwork is really smart and, like, cuts angles off. But he has a huge problem with committing. I think it's because he's so afraid of being taken down because he's so terrible on the mat that if he's fighting anybody with like the ability to take him down, despite the fact that he's cutting the angles down and keeping him right where he wants, he just can't pull the trigger on a big strike because he's worried, you know, a duck under and a shot is coming. And then as a result, anytime somebody blitzes him, it almost looks like he's going to sprawl, even if it's not a takedown, which puts him at like a weird disadvantage in terms of striking. Now, I think between that and the fact that Zulu has both, first of all, a lot of submissions for a guy who isn't necessarily like the most proficient wrestler, and also has so much length and fights with so much length, I think both of those two things are going to play into Arai having a really tough time of closing the distance. Because if he can't commit, he's just going to eat kicks on the outside from Zulu. If he starts to overcommit because he's getting frustrated, Zulu does have a little bit of takedowns and at the very least has a really good submission game. Back-to-back submissions for him, 8 submission losses for Arai. Obviously, that's a path to victory here for Zulu too. I think between both of those paths to victory of either just being the guy who's longer and further away against the guy who won't commit or against a guy who has crappy submissions and, you know, he nabs submissions, I think both of those are worth the play on Zulu here. I'm guessing in the early 100s, but yeah, Zulu is officially the play here.
All right. Early 100 sounds good to us. All right. Zulu is the play, he says. All right. Let's move on, shall we, to let me see here. Jumping up a bit.
Bantamweight.
Bantamweight, yeah. 134 pounds. Yuki Motoya, Japan. Shinobu Ota from Japan as well. 3 5-minute rounds. And let's get a cracking. Ota, 7-3, 4 knockouts, 1 submission. He's been submitted 1 time, 6-3 in RIZIN. He's won 3 straight and 5 of 6. Won his last fight via submission. 1-0 in Bellator. Used to fight up at featherweight. 4 years younger than Motoya. He's a silver medalist in the Olympics in wrestling and a world champion in wrestling as well. And that's all I got for him. Motoya, 35-12 with 1 no contest. 8 knockouts, 13 submissions. He's been knocked out 3 times, submitted 3 times. 10-7 with 1 no contest in RIZIN. Lost win over his last 4. He won his last fight via submission. Multiple regional championships on his
mantle.
Correct. Get the shirt. sportsgamblingpockets.com/store. Get sticky with it. Used to fight down at flyweight, 2 inches height, 4 inches reach over Ota.
So you're slipping hard. I do have to tell you.
Is this a rematch?
Yes, it's a rematch.
Dang it.
So you missed that Zulu was on Tough and that this was a rematch.
Yes, I am slipping. You're right.
But Motoya won the first fight, and I still think he's going to be a dog here. I'm going to say like plus 175. This is totally RIZIN trying to get their hot prospect with a silver medal fight back. And if you watch their first fight, and I do suggest everybody go back and watch that first fight, Motoya stuffs enough of Oda's takedowns and basically just forces him to box the whole time. Oda is not good enough at boxing that he can do that. And then I think a lot of people have seen Ota's recent fights and they're like, man, like this dude has turned it around since that loss. And, he had a north-south choke his last time out and his wrestling's really playing up. But I've got two problems with that. First of all, north-south choke against the guy who was 5-5. The dude was terrible, looked like he had never been on the ground before. Secondly, his silver medal in wrestling, and I don't mean to disparage a whole discipline of wrestling.
Dare you?
But it was Greco-Roman wrestling, which translates to the MMA sphere quite a bit worse than freestyle or folk style. Because it's mostly like upper body locks.
Yeah.
And not that upper body locks don't work in MMA. Like the takedowns could still work. The clinch still works. You could still definitely get those trips and take people down. But it's worse for control on the mat. Because if you're on the upper body on the mat, you're going to see a lot of shrimping away with the hips. You see a lot of people get back up against the cage. You see a lot of ability for somebody to get back up. So already, I think that's a little bit of a knock. The second thing is I think Motoya has been fighting better people lately. Since the win, he does have 2 losses. You mentioned he's win-loss in his last 4. Mm-hmm. Those losses are to Vince Morales and Kai Asakura. Those
solid
are
losses.
Not only solid losses, but like solid losses to boxers, right? Like solid losses to dudes who, I guess I could call Morales more of a kickboxer. He rips the legs, although he did have a 6 submission in his last fight and is back in the UFC already, which is cool. But like guys who are good on the feet, Ota is not that. I think Motoya pretty much has to go in with one mind defensively. Just stuff those takedowns, force him to fight long. I think his cardio holds up. I think he's the better boxer. And I think definitely if you can get a guy who's already won the first fight as a dog in the second fight against a guy who I think is unpolished, I think you take that every day. So Motoya, especially if he comes in here with a plus next to his name.
All right. You think you will? What are the odds of him being a dog?
I would say I think it's highly likely that he is. This is not a rematch that's happening out of necessity. It's a rematch happening, because it's not like these two are fighting for a title. There's a title fight later on in the card and it's vacant. So like if this is one of those types of fights, why run them against each other unless you're really trying to get Ota that win back? And I think that's what RIZIN's doing here. So if you think you're going to get a guy a win back, he comes in as the favorite almost every time.
True. Very good reasoning there. All right. He'll be a dog until you followers of ours steam it up. All right, before we move on, speaking of dogs, Underdog Fantasy Pick'em is always adding to their awesome menu. They now have first touchdown projections. There are tons of ways to win with NFL, college football, MLB, MMA, and more. Their lobby is jam-packed with profit boosts and no sweat entries. You can now use specials on boosts on all flex entries. Gumby, a play for Tuesday or any other day?
Yeah, Tuesday is the beginning of a very big series between the Mets and the Braves. Perhaps the Braves' hottest hitter at the moment is Gio Urshela, which is, of course, what we all predicted at the beginning of the year. I'll take the higher than on his total basis to kick off this series as he helps carry the Braves to a wild card spot.
Oh, you predicted a win for the Braves as well. So there you go. Sign up with the code MMA SGPN to claim your special pick and first time deposit offer up to $1,000 in bonus cash. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code MMA SGPN. All right, let's get some more winners now. Shall we? We shall. All right. We're moving on to, we're going down and over to the female side of things. This is a atom weight fight. 108 pounds is what their atom weight class is over there. Seika, Izawa, Japan. Kanna, Asakura from Japan as well. 3 5-minute rounds. To tell you about Asakura first, 20-7, 1 knockout, 6 submissions. She's been submitted once. 11-6 in RIZIN. Win-loss win over her last 3. 2-3 over her last 5. He's not fought since April 2023. Lost a fight July of 2022. 0-1 as a pro grappler. Izawa, 13-0, 1 knockout, 7 submissions. She's 7-0 in RIZIN, is the champion, has defended the title once. Is she the champion of this weight class? This isn't a title fight, right?
It's not a title fight.
Yeah,
and
but
I
it's
don't
atom
know
weight
if she's
too.
ever fought outside of atom weight.
It's weird.
I don't know why this wouldn't be a title fight.
Yeah.
I may be blaming Tapology. This should be a title fight.
Actually, I think I saw that she might be retiring, but that wouldn't change.
Izawa?
Yeah, someone.
I don't
know why it's not a title fight. All right, I'm going to keep talking, and
Okay.
maybe Gumby will find out. Izawa, we're telling you about her. So she's won 4 straight fights via submission. She has multiple regional championships on her.
Mantle.
Correct. Get the shirt. sportsgamblingpockets.com/store. Get sticky with it. Used to fight up at strawweight, 4-0-1 in pro grappling, an inch reach over Asakura. If you haven't found it, I'll look now.
It says she's the super atom weight champion, which I don't know if is different. Is that different?
Yeah, I don't know. But no, it's not listed as a title fight anywhere I saw, at least. So.
Yeah, it says she won the belt in her last fight. The super atom weight class. Nope, that's 105 pounds. No idea why it's not. Izawa should be a negative 1,000 favorite. I'll be shocked if she's not. She's the best atom weight in the world. It's not even close. When she was like 5-0, I was like, I don't know, she could be something. It's going to be interesting to see her fight like the damn ye CEO of the world.
Damn you, CEO.
Yeah, I got all of those names backwards. It was going to be interesting to see her fight like her and the Hamasakis and the like all of those fighters who were like the hot thing in the atomweight division at the time, and she blew through everybody they gave her. Now she's going to get Asakura, who wound up in really bad grappling positions in her last fight. She fought Oshima, who's now over in Invicta. And that aged really poorly because Oshima looked terrible in her first fight in Invicta. And she had no problem like kind of controlling Asakura early in that fight. Izawa, infinitely better in terms of jiu-jitsu than Oshima. She's still got a little ways to go with wrestling, but I think she needs one takedown or one grappling exchange here with Asakura, and she's going to get the sub. So give me Seika Izawa. I think as long as she stays away from those bombs, she's going to get a submission in no time.
But you think it's going to be a bad number for us, though?
Yeah, I mean, I would be shocked if it wasn't. Again, I think she's the best atomweight in the world.
Yeah.
I think she's pretty much proven it entirely. I don't even know if it's a debate for me to say that. Like, it's not even a hot take. So to have her in there against somebody who overextends themselves and like had trouble with grappling exchanges, like that's a gift for her.
Yep. All right, now we got title fights. Maybe one of our RIZIN fans that are viewing or listening can tell us why that last fight was not a title fight. So, all right, moving on. RIZIN vacant bantamweight championship. I could ask you, do you know about RIZIN and why it's vacant? Do you know?
Yeah, it's Kai Asakura got signed by the UFC.
There you go. We just,
yeah.
No relation to Kanna Asakura, but yes.
Is there really no relation?
No, none that I found. There is a relation with this guy. Naoki Inoue is related to
Mizuki Inoue.
Yeah, there you go. Brother and sister. So Naoki Inoue is fighting for this belt against Chul Kim from South Korea. So Japan versus South Korea. 134 pounds technically. It's for the vacant bantamweight championship. It says 3 5 rounds. Are the championship fights only 3 rounds, or do you not know that?
I don't know the answer, but I'm going to say that Tapology is wrong and assume it's 5.
All right, boy.
I don't know that it changes my handicap on either of these two titles.
Okay, good. Well, that's good to know. All right, let's break her down. Kim, 22-7-1, 8 knockouts, 6 submissions. He's been submitted 3 times. 3-0 on RIZIN. He's won 4 straight fights and 6 of 7. 2 straight wins have come via TKO. 0-1 in Bellator. Regional champion. 1-0-1 as a pro grappler. Inoue, 17-4, 1 knockout, 9 submissions. Never been finished in a fight. 7-2 in RIZIN. Loss win over his last 4. Used to fight at flyweight. 1-1 in the UFC. 6 years younger than Kim, an inch taller, 4 inches reach.
I think Inoue being the younger fighter is probably the favorite here. Maybe the results haven't necessarily been there for either of them as of late, but Inoue is kind of like the hot ticket here. I'm going to say only like negative 145. You get like plus 125 on Kim. And I'm going to take a stab on the underdog here. I like Chul Kim. First of all, I really do think he won that fight with Juan Archuleta. I think it ended with a split decision, or at least a bad decision that bumped me out pretty heavily because I was on Kim in that fight. But I think he beat him there. And I think he showed all I really need in order to be Inoue here. He does a really good job of, when he's pressured, pivoting off that center line. And I don't just mean with his head. His whole body kind of comes off the center line, and he uses that as like his biggest piece in countering. I don't think Inoue's footwork holds up against somebody who's doing, like kind of crafty stuff like that. And I also think Kim's grappling is kind of sneaky good too. I think people forget how good he is as a grappler. in a lot of his fights. He's able to take people to the ground, control them. He gets really good positions. And with Inoue, you know, if you watch his fight with Shako Sato, he like winds up winning some of those grappling exchanges just by like Sato getting in bad positions and having somebody like shake him off the top. But like he's in the positions to then do something wrong, you know, and if Inoue is giving up those kind of positions to Sato, I think the positions will present themselves to Kim, and Kim is more likely to capitalize on them. So between what he's doing on the feet, I think he deals well enough with the length of Inoue here to kind of, you know, negate that and use that countering and his, you know, kind of sneaky wrestling to take over. So I'm going to take Suchul Kim, guessing ever so slight underdog, but it wouldn't surprise me if the money came in late on Inoue. If this is one of those ones that post early, you might want to just sit on it and wait until fight time if you're in on Kim along with me.
All right. So Kim is the pick. And what was the number again?
I said like plus 125 or something like that.
There's a dog. That's what we want. That's my dog. All right. Before we move on, ladies and gentlemen, to the main event, let me tell you about BetUS. We're brought to you by BetUS, bet with the best in the business, BetUS. BetUS has been around for more than 30 years. You bet anywhere. BetUS is available in tons of locations, including internationally. BetUS just launched an all-new live betting experience. Easily deposit your cryptocurrency and get lightning-fast payouts. Check out all the MMA lines, UFC, maybe they even have RIZIN. Check it all out. Use our link to sign up and get 125% deposit bonus on your first 3 deposits. Go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/betus. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/betus. Promo code SGPN so they know we sent you. BetUS, America's favorite sportsbook. And Rhythm, SGPN's proud partner. Rhythm is the #1 AI-powered sports betting platform that helps provide bettors of all levels the ability to build custom predictive betting models in seconds and get predictions for betting on money lines, spreads, totals, and props. Rhythm AI had a great NFL Week 2, 22.5% return on investment on NFL spread bets, and a 44.3% return on investment on NFL money line bets. Build your own model, copy one of the top performing models from the leaderboard, or press build a model for me. Rhythm gives you predictions for every game and player prop, and also has a myriad of stats, research, and trend analysis to give you even more betting insights. Claim your 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm, RITHMM. To our main event for a belt, not a non-vacant belt, the RIZIN Fighting Federation. Is that what it is? Yes. It is their lightweight championship. The champion, Roberto de Souza from Brazil versus Luiz Gustavo from Brazil as well. So 2 Brazilians battling for a Japanese championship. Gustavo, Killer is the nickname. 14-2, 7 knockouts, 5 submissions. He's been knocked out once. 6-2 in RIZIN. He's won 4 straight and 5 of 6. He's not lost a fight since December 2019. Used to fight at bantamweight and featherweight. 2014 pro MMA debut. 7 years younger than de Souza. De Souza, Satoshi is the nickname. 16-3, 5 knockouts, 10 submissions. He's been knocked out twice. 9-1 in RIZIN. He is the current champ. He's defended it successfully twice already. Lost win over his last 4. Won his last fight via TKO. 0-2 in Bellator. Used to fight at welterweight. 2013 pro MMA debut. 8-4-4 in grappling. He's got multiple gold medals in grappling, Abu Dhabi. And I think he's got multiple bronze medals in the world stage of grappling, world championships. 2 inches height, 2 inches reach over Gustavo.
Yeah, Gustavo's like an interesting cat because basically what we're doing here with him is he's like an overly aggressive striker, far more confident in his hands than he ought to be. But I think maybe the only reason he's like that is because he wants you to take him down. Like he's happy. Like I'm going to swing wildly, hope I knock your block off. And worst case scenario, you get frustrated and take me down. And that's great because I'll be on the mat. And that's really what Gustavo wants, is because he's got nice sweeps. He's got nice submissions off of his back. Like pretty much everything that Gustavo does on the ground is good. The problem is it's nowhere near what Satoshi does. You know, as you mentioned, Satoshi is an Abu Dhabi guy and damn good on the mat, has plenty of takedown ability to get Gustavo down there. And he's not going to be the type to mess around on the feet. You know, like he's not one of those grapplers who's like, I got to show my game's well-rounded, blah, blah, blah. Like he's just like, let me get the takedown. Let me finish this fight. And I think that's exactly what he does here against Gustavo. As much as I sort of love the style of Gustavo being like, you know, balls to the wall on the feet and don't care because I'm good on the mat. I just don't know that that's sustainable here against Roberto Satoshi. So I'm going to take Satoshi. Let's see what I wrote down for odds when I was first breaking it down. Like negative 250 maybe on Satoshi. I think Gustavo's, what do you say, 16-2? Like that's
14-2, yeah.
14-2. That's a good enough record to be like, oh, maybe Satoshi won't come in here as the biggest favorite of all time. So yeah, give me Satoshi, especially in the twos.
All right. Do a quick recap, and then we'll get you some more bonus picks. In the lightning round, he's got Satoshi, aka to Souza. He has got Kim. He's got Izawa. He's got Motoya. He has got Zulu. Lightning round, Zap Bam Boom Pow.
Yeah, I'm going to go with, I already mentioned the name Juan Archuleta earlier on this show. I'm going to fade him. He doesn't look like he's the same guy anymore. I know he, won that fight over Chul Kim, quote unquote, won that fight over Chul Kim. But like since then is like lost a couple of fights in a row, hasn't looked himself. They got him in there against the hot Kyrgyzstani prospect, Shai Duliev, 10-0. Looks like you'd expect a good Kyrgyzstani prospect to. I think he just like scores takedowns when he wants, hits him a lot harder than Archuleta does at this point. Maybe the name value of Archuleta gets us a good enough line here. Maybe the 2 losses doesn't, but that's my first one. And then I mentioned the name earlier, Shako Sato, a guy who, had the back of Inoue for a second in their fight. It's kind of a sleeper good grappler. I do like him in his fight as well. I don't know what we'll get for a line. Again, these RIZIN ones have been a little bit tough for me to gauge because everybody's like 35-15, right? Like what's Motoya? Yeah. Motoya's record is like, one of the most ridiculous things I've seen. So like they've all got kind of crazy records. I don't know what we'll get on Sato, but I do like him as my other lightning round pick.
All right. You're all set for RIZIN. RIZIN is back. The 6th event they've run this year. I just checked there. I don't see when the next one is, but they'll definitely be running New Year's Eve. So I'm sure we'll be covering at least that one next. So hope you enjoyed this Japanese MMA episode. We don't do too many of those. You can check us out in the Discord if you want to chat more about RIZIN or anything else. sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Discord. YouTube, of course, in the comment section, MMA Gambling Podcast. Twitter, SGPN MMA. He's Gumby Vreeland. I'm Jeff Fox, writer there. And on Instagram, Gumby's got an exciting guest, 2 exciting guests on his Top Turtle MMA podcast this week. And they are...
we're talking to Ray Longo, who's, always a delight every time you get him on the mic. And we will also be talking to Leslie Hernandez, Dora the Destroyer, who's both going to be talking about that nickname as well as her spot on Contender Series.
There you go. So check it out. And of course... I've got a Substack, moneymma.substack.com. Get in there, enter my free UFC Pick'em contest for this week. And of course, we're at sportsgamblingpodcast.com, sportsgamblingpodcast.com/store, sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Patreon. Back tomorrow with UFC. Gumby will bid us farewell till then.
All right. I'm Daniel Gumby Vreeland. He's Satoshi Jeff Fox, and we will see you tomorrow.